Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, I have some advice for parents of teenage daughters. In this video, we're going to talk about what the landscape looks like right now for teenage girls. It can be brutal out there. I also want to share some helpful insights related to emotions, because we do know that in the teenage years for girls, there's a lot of emotions running high, and then some things that you can do to help improve your relationship and your communication with your teenage daughter. Being a teenage girl is difficult. I don't know if it's ever been easy. In fact, really just those whole years, those teenage years are hard. Your body's changing, your brain is changing, your relationships are revolving all of the time. You're trying to develop the skills that you need for adulthood, but somebody's telling you all the time and reminding you that you're messing up all the time because you're not an adult yet. There's other people that are over you, but you want to have a little bit more control of yourself. You've got so many thoughts and feelings going on the inside, and you're not sure anybody understands. Sometimes you make mistakes and you don't know who to tell about it. There's just a lot of things that are happening. You know what your teenage daughter needs? Your teenage daughter needs to know that you are solid, that you are there for her, that you are going to give her the same good advice no matter what happens, that you're not going to judge, that you're not going to take her behavior personally, but instead you're just going to help her and guide her. She needs solid leadership, the type that cares, that has a tone of calmness, and she needs to be able to have an element of predictability within the parenting interactions. When you are in your teenage years, you have a little bit higher level of anxiety because emotions are running high. And just because your body is changing and everything's changing so much, your stress level is going up just a little bit. So the more things that can be predictable in your youth's lives, the better. So what type of predictability am I talking about? I'm talking about the type of predictability of who are we in the relationship with each other, where are we headed as a family, and how are we going to communicate to get there. We're going to talk in a moment about some of those skills, but first I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about the emotional landscape with teenage girls. So I've mentioned now multiple times that the emotions are running high, and emotions are generally a little bit higher in girls. I would say that girls by nature, now this isn't all of them, I don't want to put any into a box, but by nature are a little bit more empathic. They can feel what other people are thinking, what they're feeling. They're very intuitive to this. This is something that's going to prepare them to be good mothers in the future. They perceive, wait a minute, that person's not okay. The person themselves might not even fully know they're not okay yet, but some girl knows because she can feel that. And so this can become very distracting. It can create a lot of drama in their lives. They can start to read too much into what's happening around them. So it's important for them to have a good, solid understanding about emotions and about other people so that they can keep their relationships in a good, healthy place. Does your teenage daughter know that her emotions do not have to drive behavior? Does she know that there is a difference between feelings, thoughts, and emotions? Because there is. I actually have a whole 3-hour training called The Value and Mastery of Emotions. It's on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. You can go look that up. It will go into a lot more detail about how emotions work. It could be very informative for you and for your teenage daughter to discuss that material together. So if we understand how our brains work and our body chemicals work, it's going to help us better accept what's going on and make more deliberate, conscious decisions. So the first thing that happens is you feel a feeling. After that, you get a microsecond where you get the opportunity to experience a thought. Now, you could pick any thought during that time, literally any one. Many people have a go-to thought in certain situations and they don't ever question it, which then leads to an emotional response. Those emotions are going to then drive behaviors, sometimes productive, sometimes not productive. But your emotions don't have to drive non-productive behaviors. Instead, they could drive very productive behaviors. behaviors. So keeping that in mind is vital, and it all goes back to the thought that you think before you decide to engage in the emotion. So if you feel frustrated, then you might say to yourself, that's frustration, but what could I also think at this time to give me hope, to motivate me forward, to let me know that everything's okay? Well, what skills do I have to help me? On this channel, we talk a lot about the 4 basic skills of self-government. Maybe one of the skills we need to focus on right then is accepting a no answer. Things don't always go our way. That can be frustrating. So when we experience frustration, we could remind ourselves to use step 4 of the skill accepting a no answer, which is to drop the subject. That takes practice to learn how to do, but once you've practiced it, you could remind yourself again and again. And as parents, if you all share the same language of the skills and principles of self-government because you've all learned them, then it's a lot easier for you to help guide each other, and things don't have to be taken so personally. I think that's one of the big problems with teenage daughters is they take the teaching personally, and sometimes the parents take the behaviors and the emotions personally too. It doesn't have to be that way. If you can plan ahead of time what types of skills you'll use and you have that same language, then everyone can be on the same page. Let me just give you a little example. So when one of my daughters was 14 years old, she was starting to get very emotional. It was a regular occurrence that her emotions would flare up, that she would take things a little bit more personally than she should. She and I had a parent counseling about that behavior. We talked about how that was occurring, what types of thoughts that she was engaging in ahead of time. So then I said to her, how about we come up with a cue phrase? And every time that you have this sort of a thought, maybe you think, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, so-and-so doesn't care, whatever that thought is, and I can't remember which one it was, but whenever she starts getting that type of a thought, maybe you can challenge it. But if I see you going down that road and feeling irritated in some way, then I can just look at you and say, hey, use your skills. Just to remind you that you have skills to draw from. Think about the skills. Go to the front brain. Or I even said sometimes, go to front brain, go to front brain, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I gotta think about this, not just react to it. That takes practice and sometimes a little bit of prompting. When a person is struggling a lot or they're super defiant about not wanting to be corrected or taught, you may need to also go to corrections with them. And sometimes even doing intensive teaching interactions. Those interactions are taught more fully in my TSG parenting course, which you can find at teachingselfgovernment.com. So go to teachingselfgovernment.com. I'll see you there.